Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Michael's Corner. Tonight, I'll be interviewing ring announcer Travis Sharpe. He is by far one of the greatest ring announcers that I ever met. And you guys that know Travis knows that he's a great guy, and he's very, very professional and whatnot. So I am going to see if he's live on Instagram or not. So let's see. Let's see if I can find him. I'm gonna send a request. So hopefully he responds to my request to go on live. There he is.
Hey there, Michael.
How's it going?
Things are going okay. I'm staying healthy and I'm staying alive. So, yep. And I'm just hoping for the best overall. So.
Yep. And I could say the same thing. I haven't seen your face in like years.
I know. Yeah.
So
yeah, it's been at least 2 years, hasn't it?
I think it's been. No, it's more than that. I think it's been 3-4 years.
Wow. And well, time flies.
So I'm so honored to interview you because I got some questions to ask you and whatnot.
Sure.
Okay.
So
let's get started.
All right, go ahead.
So my first question to you is, how did you get your start in the wrestling business?
I got my start in the wrestling business. Well, I was obsessed with professional wrestling after age 10, especially, the World Wrestling Federation, which is now known as the WWE. I was obsessed with them since 1990. Up until 1990, I never watched professional wrestling. I actually hated it. And and the first time that I actually sat down and watched an entire show, it was SummerSlam 1990 on pay-per-view. Watched the entire pay-per-view, and then I was hooked. I was the biggest super fan in the world, had to have all the action figures, et cetera, and I knew that I wanted to be a professional wrestler. And so the year 1998 rolled around, and I was 18 years old. My dad, he had heard an ad on the radio for a professional wrestling school in the Twin Cities run by the world's strongest wrestler, Ken Patera. Okay. And so me and my father went down, to the Twin Cities because we lived in St. Cloud at the time, and we checked out his training camp. And I started training camp with Ken Patera about a year later. During that time, I worked on his shows, and whatnot, helping with, promotions, ad sales, set up and tear down, and just basically anything that had to be done. And then started training with him, which was 3 days a week. I drove from St. Cloud, Minnesota, down to Prescott, Wisconsin, 3 times a week to train. I trained with such names as Matt Burns, the Farmer, Shea Physique. Most of all these guys, aren't on the scene, still to this day. But that's how I got my start. It was through the world's strongest wrestler, Ken Patera. So I owe that to him, definitely. So.
Oh, your camera's a little cut off. There we go.
I just had to straighten it out a little bit.
Yeah, now everybody can see your face.
There we go. Okay. Sorry.
There we go.
There we go.
So,
technical difficulties. Yep.
Difficulties. but we're gonna continue anyways.
Okay.
I now at one point in time, you used to be a wrestler, right?
Yes, I wrestled from the year 2000 until practically the year 2010. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
about a good solid 10 years. So,
Okay, that's good. That I
yeah.
didn't know about. So
Okay.
this is new. This is new to me, and this is new to like everybody else, you know.
Hmm.
So, what made you stop wrestling? May I ask?
Sure. Well, kind of towards the end, I mean, the matches, were like, further, apart, and whatnot. And even though towards the end, I was in much better shape, than I was when I started, I kept on breaking ribs. And
Mm-hmm.
so kept on breaking ribs, and they seemed to not heal for forever, which then, would prolong me getting into the ring, in a timely manner, and so I just decided, that it was time to hang it up, and so I put my focus towards ring announcing. So
Yep. Yep.
I was a much better ring announcer, the wrestler anyway. So yeah.
Okay. I was about to get to that. So, what made you decide that you just want to say after you hang up your boots? What
Mhm.
made you decide that you want to be a ring announcer?
Well, I started out as a ring announcer. How I got my start as a ring announcer was back in the year 1999. It was working on one of Ken Patera's shows. It was an outdoor show. It was held, it was like half rock concert, half wrestling show. Okay,
Okay.
so the ring announcer that they had working for them at the time, he had to leave halfway through the show on a family emergency or something like that. So they were stuck for someone to host the show. So
Mm-hmm.
they asked me if I would step in it and fill in, handle those duties. And I did. And I guess at the time, I did such a good job that they gave me the full-time position. And the first year that I did shows was the year 1999. Um, did close to 40 shows in that year. It was a really hot year for professional wrestling, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's how I got my start as a ring announcer. I just kind
Okay.
of fell into it. So
Yep. So you have been a ring announcer for a lot of wrestling organizations. And can you tell me how first off you first ring announced for Steel Domain Wrestling, right?
mhm.
Can
Yep.
you tell me? Can you tell me if you know tell me about that situation
Mhm.
and why you decide you want to go to Steel Domain Wrestling to ring announce?
Well, let's take you back to the year 2001. Steel Domain Wrestling landed a TV contract through KSTC Channel 45. Okay, and they were the first wrestling company slash promotion to produce a network TV show since Vern Gagne back in the early '90s, and so it was a very big deal. They needed a decent ring announcer, and they didn't have one, so my name got thrown into the hat. I was brought in February the year 2001, and the rest is history, basically. Back then, you had guys like CM Punk, Colt Cabana, Ace Steel, Danny Dominion, and et cetera, et cetera. The Chicago boys, they were kind of the mainstays for what was known as St. Paul Championship Wrestling, later turned into Steel Domain Wrestling, to give it a better name for TV. So, yep. And so for Steel Domain Wrestling, I've had a lot of duties. I've been a ring announcer, wrestler. I've had a hand in promotions. I was the setup and teardown supervisor. So I did a lot of things, behind the scenes, just to make the show run, and whatnot. I feel that, above all promotions that I work for, Steel Domain Wrestling is kind of my home base, and it's the promotion that I love the most. I love to work for Steel Domain the most, and every time I work for them, it's kind of like coming home. So I just hope that in the near future here that Steel Domain Wrestling can once again run, and I'll possibly have the opportunity to come back.
Yeah, because I would love to see you come back to Steel Domain and ring announce, because I tell you, you are so great at ring announcing. I tell you, you're very, very professional, and hopefully when everything opens back up again, that you'll get your chance to ring announce, and I can get a chance to go to wrestling shows again.
Sure. It'd be great to see you there again.
Yeah.
It'd be fantastic to see you there.
Yeah. Once this pandemic, kind of slows down, and I would love to see you back in Steel Domain Wrestling.
Well, I would love to be back.
Yeah. So next, you have ring announced for Kurt when he was doing wrestling shows. So now you got to tell me, how did that all went down when you was ring announcing for Kurt?
Kind of the same story. Kurt was in need of a ring announcer, someone to host his shows. I guess at the start he was hosting his own shows, and from a promoting standpoint, you get kind of busy, the day of the show, and whatnot. So hosting a show on top of that, can be kind of tough. I was brought in, and I worked pretty consistently with Kurt for probably at least a year. And then it was just I was brought in, just strictly as talent, and that was my job. And so I enjoyed working for Kurt. I miss him.
Yeah, me too.
He was honestly a good guy who was just trying to give the fans, the best show that he possibly could, best interest of the fans. He cared about the fans. He didn't care about the money, you don't make a lot of money, in independent wrestling anyway. You can, but it's very difficult. Kurt was an honest guy. He was a good guy to work for. I can't say anything bad about Kurt because, there really wasn't anything there, bad to say. I miss him, and, I will see him again, on the other side, and he was taken way too soon, but, he's in a much better place right now. And,
he's probably, you know what? And to let people know, I was his assistant,
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I was his assistant. He would practically take me to all of his wrestling shows, all of the others' wrestling shows, and we just hang out, talk about wrestling. I couldn't remember one time that we haven't talked about wrestling, because that's what we do is we talk about wrestling. We talk about the matches, the upcoming matches, and everything. I used to go to his place, and he'll show me, wrestling and everything. So I really miss Kurt, and I miss, going on wrestling road trips with him.
Oh,
because he used to make me laugh so hard. So.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I miss the road trips, with Kurt. there was this one long road trip that we took up to North Dakota for a little show with the Honky Tonk Man, and Honky came in for that one, and you know, it was a good time. You know, I mean, Kurt was a good time. You know, I mean, Kurt, you know, tried to get the most out of life, you know, that I think that a person could possibly get out of life, you know, and so I had to see him go, but, you know, both me and you know, are going to see him on the other side, right?
Right.
Got it.
So, now tell me, now you have been to his shows. What was your favorite match that you saw at one of Kurt's shows?
At one of Kurt's shows? That's a difficult one, you know, to pick out, okay? Because, you know, you know what? Okay. I can't pick out a specific match, but I can tell you who stood out. Okay. Now, who stood out for his intensity and you know, the way that he laid everything in, and just overall, I mean, he stuck out to me, you know, and I said something to him one day, and you know, I think that it made him, you know, it was a compliment. I think it made him feel good. You know, it was Damon Knight. Damon Knight had intensity, you know, that nobody else had on that roster. Like, he stood out for that. You know what I mean? He was anyone else that could even, you know, hold a candle to him, you know, as far as the intensity level. And, you know, that counts, you know, I mean, that counts for something, you know, yeah. So as far as a standout, I would say, you know, when I was working for Kurt, I would say it was probably Damon Knight, and he's had really cool hair too, you know.
Yeah.
Thing, you know. So, yeah.
So thanks. So my next question to you is, you used to ring announce for MIW, right?
Yes, correct. I ring announced and wrestled for MIW, actually. So yeah, that is where MIW is where I finished my professional wrestling training. I started training with the world's strongest wrestler, Ken Patera, but I finished my training because I didn't finish with him. Okay, I finished my training with Terry Fox, and so I was a part of the same class, you know, that had Robbie Thunder, McCoy Counterfeit, Big Daddy Hoofer, Austin Aries, you know, would be there a little bit, and so on and so forth. I mean, he produced a lot of talent, you know, out of a little 16-foot ring inside of a garage in the back of a house in St. Louis Park off of Utah Avenue. It was Terry Fox's mother's house, and he had a little 16-foot ring set up inside of a garage in his backyard, and that's how we all learned how to wrestle. So,
yeah. I guess that you enjoyed ring announcing the most than wrestling.
Yes. Yeah. I'd say ring announcing, you know, is more of my specialty. You know, it's something that I've worked, you know, very hard to, you know, almost perfect, you know, to hone my skills as a ring announcer. I mean, I've come a very long way as a ring announcer, and you know, I mean, I was never, when I first started, I was never as good as, or I shouldn't say as good. I was never as seasoned, you know, as I am today. You know what I mean? When I was growing up, I had a really bad speech impediment. And it carried over. It carried over into my late teen years, into my early 20s. And so what I would have to do as a ring announcer for shows, you know, to help me through the shows is on these little index cards, you know, that a lot of ring announcers carry. I used to write down a script, the night beforehand, word for word, as to everything that I would say, from mentioning a concession stand to go buy a T-shirt, to now's the intermission, blah, 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 to help me through the shows, and then as time went on, I gained more confidence, the speech impediment, it went away. And now, basically, I kind of wing probably about 3/4 of the shows that I ring announce right now. So,
that's good. Yeah, that's good that you got so much better than you was before, and that takes a lot of courage to do that.
Yes, it was a very frightening thing. Getting up there in front of people, with a problem like that. But, I faced my fear. I pushed through it. And, it's just, a reminder, to everybody out there that when things get tough, don't quit. Just push through it. And you have the ability to be, great, and to do something great, but, when times get tough, don't just quit. Push through it and don't give up.
Yeah, that's exactly your, yeah. Because, when I first started interviewing wrestlers several years ago, I was kind of a bit nervous, about, interviewing, because this is my first time. And I remember it was May of 2013. Kurt had taken me to a wrestling show in Winona, I believe.
Winona, yeah.
Yeah, I believe it was Winona. It was at the Black Horse Bar.
Okay.
And there was a wrestling event. So it was May of 2013. I went there, and and it was a packed house. Went there to the wrestling show, had a great time. Now, during intermission, I had the opportunity. Okay, one of the wrestling promoters was like, "Oh, who can wrestle the Angry Dragon for about $5?" A lot of those kids was beating up the Angry Dragon. And then the crowd wants to see me get into the ring.
Okay.
So it's still on YouTube to this day. I got in the ring with Angry Dragon. Got in the ring. I shoved him into the corner, gave him a chop.
Yeah.
And then after that, I gave him the world's strongest slam, and I pinned him. 1, 2, 3. Kurt might have shit on his pants. He's like, I didn't know Michael did this. I used to be a wrestler in high school. Okay. I tried out wrestling in high school for about the first 2 years before I quit, because it just wasn't for me. I just want to try out and see how I did. And I said to myself, nah, this wasn't for me and whatnot.
Yeah.
So I don't tell people this too much, but now it's gonna be out there, and it's like I used to be a wrestler in high school and whatnot. So it was a great honor to get in the ring that many years ago. Will I ever do it again? I always say never say never, because you never know.
I have a question for you. Okay. Have you ever thought of pursuing other things in the ring, like possibly being a manager or a referee or something like that?
that haven't came across me. I have thought about, you know what? Truth to be told, I have thought about being a manager at
Okay.
first, because I have pitched my idea to Kurt about, I want to be like, a manager. So
Yeah.
I was saving all this money to, saving all this money so I could get my license. And
Yeah.
Travis, I
Hmm.
was, I was this close of
Hmm.
getting my license until he passed away.
Yeah.
I was that close of getting my license. And then I would, be a manager, you know. But
Hmm.
I do have thoughts about maybe being a manager,
Yeah.
instead of an in-ring competitor.
Hmm.
I have thought about being a manager. So
Okay.
um, that's just something that I want to do next
Hmm.
once everything settles down.
Hmm.
And but for now, I'm just going to do my part and doing interviews because I am
Hmm.
so good at interviewing wrestlers.
Yeah,
And
and it seems like you have a big following too.
yeah,
So,
it's like what
so things
you
are going well.
said. It's like what you said, Travis. If this is your passion, you should stick to it. And this
Yes.
is my passion. And ever since I came up with the concept of Michael's Corner,
Hmm.
all the wrestlers who I interviewed loved it.
Yeah.
At first, I was a little bit, I was, fumbling a little bit. But as the years went on,
Hmm.
I have gotten so much better.
Yeah.
I have gotten so much better. It's like I I watch video clips of, like WWE, I've
Mhm.
seen like maybe Lenny Garcia interviewing Paige or Charlotte or Stephanie McMahon. And I just fee off from that. And I
Oh yeah.
saw other people interviewing other wrestlers. So I feed off of that. And that's how I gotten so much better. Because usually I will bring my little notebook and
Hmm.
write stuff down in case I forgot. Ever since then, I wanted to test myself. What can I do without the notebook? You
Yeah.
know, that's
Yeah.
called, I just want to test myself out. And ever since then, I got great feedback
Good.
from not just, from everybody who I know, but from the third party, like on YouTube.
Yeah.
People are liking this, and that's the reason they suggest that I keep doing this. So
Hmm.
that's what I'm doing. I'm just going to keep doing what I love to do. And I'm just going to, continue to do Michael's corner
Okay.
and interviewing these wrestlers because this is my passion and whatnot. So,
And you got to follow your passion.
mm-hmm, that's
Definitely.
right. So, I guess I got a final question for you.
Okay.
And
Shoot.
so, what advice can you give people who wants to pursue and who wants to be like maybe a wrestler or
Hmm.
ring announcer or a manager? What do advice can you give to those people?
I thought about this question even before you asked me. Okay. And what I would say, and I would say this. Okay. Now, if you're going to be a successful professional wrestler, or a member of the sports entertainment community. Tomorrow is never promised. Okay? So when you go out there and you perform, it doesn't matter if it's in front of 3 people or in front of 3,000, you give them the same quality of show, regardless. And every time that you do an event or perform on an event or, are out there in front of the fans, always give 110% regardless, because you never know when that show that you're performing on is going to be your last show. So always live it up to the max on the show and perform like there is no tomorrow, because you don't know if that is going to be your last show. Anything could happen. You could have a car accident. You could be injured. Anything can happen to you. So when you're out there and you're performing, perform like it's your last show. All the time.
Yep.
There you go.
There. Thank you. So,
You're welcome.
Yep. So, before we wrap things up, where can wrestling fans find you on social media?
Well, let's see. This is the first time I've been on Instagram. So, before this, I was an Instagram virgin. But I'll be posting some more on Instagram. Travis Sharpe 1980 is the name. And also, you can find me on Facebook under the name Travis James Lindquist. That's my legal name, but my wrestling name is Travis Sharpe. So Travis James Lindquist on Facebook and Travis Sharpe 1980 on Instagram. That's it.
All right.
Where you can find me.
Thank you so much for your time to do this interview with me.
Okay.
And hopefully when everything slows down and gets back to where it was, I'll have you back here on Michael's Corner.
Sounds good. You can count on that. I had a good time here tonight. Thank you, Michael, for having me. You stay safe, and all of you people out there, you stay safe too. Do the right thing. Please wear your mask. Even though if you're not for the mask, just wear the mask, because you don't know who it might affect. Okay.
Yeah, and I want to say this too to everybody: wearing a mask is not a political thing, and that's what people just don't understand, Travis.
No.
They think wearing a mask is a political thing. It's not a political
It's
thing.
not.
It's to protect you and other people, is so that we can slow down the spread of COVID-19 just until we get a vaccine.
Yep.
So
we don't have to work together to flatten that curve, to get through this. Unless we all work together, we are never going to get to that point. And we're just going to prolong everything. And people, let's all work together. Let's push through this and let's move on. Let's go back to regular life.
Yes. Okay? All right. Well, you have a good evening, Travis.
You too. All right.
Bye.
Have a good night. Bye.
Yep. What a great interview section with Travis Sharpe. Very, very nice. I just loved his story and everything. Wow, what an amazing story. Don't forget, you guys, to like, share, and subscribe. If you're on YouTube, my YouTube channel name is Michael's Wrestling Channel, and you can also follow me on Facebook, which is Michael Mo. Okay? Well, you guys, you take care and have a great evening, and please stay safe. Wear your mask, Make sure you're wearing it properly. Make sure your mouth and nose is covered and that it has no gaps on your mask, and you'll be fine. Take care and have a great night.